Please put your hands together to welcome our very special guest, Professor Peter Higgs. Professor Higgs, welcome to the Science Museum. You've had a sneak preview of the exhibition this morning. Did it feel like CERN to you?
Yes, it did. It gave the right. It had the right feel for CERN. I mean, the slightly dirty walls on the tunnel and the scruffy corridors between the offices. That's just like CERN. Oh. The only thing which was surprising in the exhibition was to find all these pieces so close together.
I'm Eloise from Manshead School. And my question is, who is your hero in the world of science?
Who is your hero in the world of science?
I suppose in my school days this was probably Paul Dirac, because he'd been a former pupil. But of course I also learnt a lot about previous people, particularly in theoretical physics, like Einstein, who was one of Paul Dirac's heroes, and also James Clerk Maxwell before him.
What thoughts went through your head when your original paper was rejected and they sent back saying of no obvious relevance to physics?
Well, the remark about no obvious relevance to physics didn't come with the rejection. That was reported to me by a colleague with whom I shared an office, who'd gone to CERN to spend a month in the summer while I was writing these papers. When he came back, he explained to me that when my papers arrived, they would have been probably passed along the theoretical corridor at CERN until they got to somebody who thought he could referee them, and that they didn't think that people there didn't think that this had much to do with physics. So it was not not in the rejection, but it was a second-hand report. I mean, at the time of the rejection, I was simply annoyed, because I thought that I'd made an important discovery, and I simply, as I said, I had to rewrite the paper and make its consequences more clear. And if the people in CERN along the corridor didn't understand what I was doing, it had better go elsewhere.
How did you find out about the Nobel Prize award?
Well, the first part of the story is that having experienced a lot of attention from the media previously, like after the discovery announcement at CERN, and other occasions, I reckoned that if there were a Nobel announcement, life was going to be rather difficult. There was going to be a mob of journalists outside my front door within an hour or so. So I would be somewhere else. A car drew up across the street by the gardens, and a lady of about 70-ish got out, came across the road, and with a very excited way said, "Congratulations, my daughter has just phoned from London to tell me the news." And I said, "What news?" And so she told me about the award, and then I went home and read the messages on my phone.
What did it feel like to know you won the Nobel Prize, and what's changed in your life since then?
Well, the feelings are rather mixed. I mean, I'd seen it coming for quite a time. Actually, as long ago as 1980, I heard by an old friend who at the time worked in Lund, one of whose colleagues was on the Nobel Committee, that I'd been nominated as long ago as 1980, so it was for a long time a possibility, and I mean, for a long time I got as the discovery began to materialize, I got very tense each year at the beginning of October. So the actual announcement came in a way as a relief. Now it was all over, but of course it's not all over, because the media attention is so much more intense, and I'm rather determined to get some of my normal life back during the coming year. And I've said to some of my colleagues, I'm going to retire for the second time at my 85th birthday at the end of May, and cut down on the number of things that I get involved in.
How does it feel to be a well-known scientist like Newton and Einstein?
How does it feel to be a well-known scientist like Newton or Einstein?
Well, I wouldn't want to be compared too much with Einstein, because he did so many other things, and I'm known for only this one thing. But I can appreciate very much what happened to him when he became a celebrity. Well, probably certainly in the 20s after he got his Nobel Prize. I mean, that's a sort of previous case of a lot of media attention. It's well, one of the things I would say is that when you get this sort of attention for a particular thing which you've been successful in doing, it's very hard ever to match up to it again.
Hi. Do you think the discovery of the Higgs boson is a good or a bad thing for physics?
Is the discovery of the Higgs boson a good or bad thing for physics?
Do you expect me to say it's a bad thing?
Popular media has named the Higgs boson the God particle, but do you agree with this name?
I'm embarrassed by it. I mean, I'm not sure whether you know how it arose, but it's the title of a book published some years ago by Leon Lederman with the help from a scientific journalist, and it was about the search for this particle, which was going to be very difficult, and he proposed giving the title of the book as That Goddamn Particle, because it was going to be difficult. His editor wouldn't have that. He said, all right, let's call it the God particle. And I think there was an indignant reaction from a lot of the physics community about that, because it was really creating confusion about what this was about. And that confusion has persisted, so that I get stories about, missionaries of various sorts doorstepping people to tell them that it's been proved that God exists because the God particle has been found. I don't like this kind of confusion between two entirely different issues.
Are there any last words of advice you have for our budding physicists? Any life lessons or mottos?
Any lessons?
Yeah.
You have to specialize to pick a topic for a thesis, but don't ignore what else is going on. It may be useful.
So maybe take a circuitous route like you into physics. So Professor Higgs, it has been an honour for you to join us today. Thank you on behalf of all of the students and all of us here for answering our questions. Can I have a huge round of applause, please, for Professor Higgs?